Well, welcome to Reality Benders. Now, if you know anything about Portland hip hop, which a lot of you probably don't, but one of the first names that comes up if you know about this scene is brenboy, right? Anyone that's in this scene knows who this guy is, right? So do you think you could start by just giving people a little background on like who you are, what you're up to, so they can have a little more context? Then we'll dive into how you really got to the point you're at.
Yeah, well, like you said, my name is brenboy. I'm a hip hop artist, rapper out here in Portland. I'm also the urban music director and hip hop coordinator at 90.7 FM. So I do a lot of stuff in the community with up and coming hip hop artists, do radio campaigns, and just kind of like boost the presence of the whole culture in general.
Mm-hmm. Cool, man. So tell me about when you first started getting into music. Like, what made you decide, like, I want to turn this into a career?
It was, I started in the slam poetry scene. So
okay.
I started doing, like, poetry when I was in school. I was, like, a 3-sport athlete, and nobody really knew that I was entering poetry contests and winning.
Mm-hmm.
But when it was, like, time to either go play football in college or do something, I ended up moving to Portland and, like, just getting really good at slam poetry.
Okay.
So everything for me was writing, and I started noticing, like, okay, I'm winning contests, I'm taking home college medals, I knew that I was good at it, but I couldn't just walk up to someone and say, hey, I got this poem, $20,
Yeah.
It just didn't make any sense.
Can you make money in poetry? Like, sell a book, I guess?
I made a little bit of money in poetry by getting into books. I was published in 2 different coffee table books.
Oh, hell yeah.
So it's like, you're sitting at a coffee joint, and you pick up one of them poetry books and you read it. I'm published in 2 of those. But that was small money, It's not really a whole lot.
Yeah.
So when it was time to like really present it a certain way that could actually make sense, it was rapping, because everybody in the poetry scene, they were always like, oh yeah, you're like that rapper that does that, you're the guy that does that rap style poetry.
Now, were you super into rap music at the time?
Yeah, I grew up listening to rap, I grew up listening to a lot of different things, but yeah, I was always into rap. I was always into lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously the poetry thing, it was always just writing to me,
Yeah.
I just loved the wordplay in any music, really.
Yeah, bro, that's probably one of my favorite things to do with my music is I fell in love with the concept of, like, bending words. You know what I mean? Like, I saw this one interview where they're, like, interviewing Eminem, and he was talking about how he got pissed off that people don't think you can't rhyme anything with orange.
And he said door hinge.
Yeah, and it's like, I, like, heard that, and it, like, unlocked something in my brain where I was like, wow, he, like, completely reapproaches how you look at, like... Like, when I look at, like, rhyme scheme when I'm writing, like, I think of my writing in patterns. And then I'm telling a message through those patterns, and I look at ways, how can I create, like, triple rhyme schemes or, like, euphemisms in a way where it fits this pattern, but, like, I'm just fascinated with that concept of, like, painting with words, right? And so, like, I'm right there with you. Like, I'm sure that's pretty much what poetry is. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure that spilt a lot over into when you started doing music.
Yeah,
right?
Most definitely.
Now, when you first started getting into music, like, obviously we all think we're better than we are when we start. When you started, like, did you think your music was the shit and that you were going to just blow up because it was so good?
Yeah, of course, man. Just like everybody, I was like, the first time I like, people were gassing me about my music, I would be rapping at parties and stuff, just like drunk with friends.
Yeah, just like freestyling.
Yeah,
or
just
shit.
freestyling. And then like one of my friends, Josh, rest in peace, he like pulled me aside when I was like 15. He was like, hey, you're actually dope, right? And I'm like, nah, man, this is just something like,
you do as a joke.
Yeah,
right?
we just do this when we're we're
fucking
all
around,
partying and everything. We just rap, like, it's whatever. And then as I got older, I started taking it more serious, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm really about to like get going with it,
Yeah.
And it was on from there. Once I decided I wanted to do it, I knew I was gonna, just like any sport, you're gonna get better at it.
Yeah.
But I knew that I was good enough from a young age
to
really take it serious, Like, You know, if you're like I loved football. That was my sport. I was the captain of the football team, all conference wide receiver, always scoring touchdowns, always on the in the newspaper, always on the highlight reels the next day.
Yeah.
Always. But look at me, man. I'm not gonna go play for the Raiders.
Yeah.
You know? Let's just be real. So
Yeah.
same thing with rapping. Some people are like, "Oh, I want to live this rapper lifestyle." It's like, okay, like, are you great at rhyming?
Yeah.
Is there timing, originality? Do you see the world in poetry with similes and metaphors? Do you have that gift of gab naturally? Do you have the look, the style, you know? Is it like hip hop is like an attitude, like an energy, right? Do you have that energy? Like, is that really who you are? If not, don't play for the Raiders. Don't be a rapper. You know, make a beat or.
Well, let me ask you this: like, it seems like the state of what hip hop is and what rap is has changed so much in the last like 5 years, especially.
Yeah.
Right. Like, what it means to be a rapper versus like a hip hop artist is like completely different. Looking 2020 versus like even just 2010.
Yeah. True.
Right. So, how do you think? Like, what is your opinion on like the new state of rap? Do you think it's like me personally, I think it's like, people are judging it through the same lens. I don't think it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's definitely
like, how do you look at the state of where we're at with rap?
I think it's great.
Yeah.
I love all the new styles. Like, it's the same argument everybody's going to say. Like, the grandpa was always like, this ain't music. And then the dad was like, yes, it is. And then he got older and was like, this ain't music. And then the son was like, yes, it is. And then the son had a kid.
Yeah.
And the grandson's, you know what I'm saying? It's always going to be like that. So I noticed that at a young age that was happening. And I was like, okay, how do you avoid that? Because you don't want to be,
a gimmick.
You don't want to be a gimmick, but you also don't want to be that. You remember when you were young, when you were hella young and people were saying that to you?
Yeah.
And they were just like, man, this old guy he doesn't understand. You don't want to be.
It's the same cycle.
You don't want to be that old guy that doesn't understand. Yeah. So how do you not be that? Well, you see the art form for what's dope about it.
Yeah.
So when people say, oh, I can't stand this new flow that everyone's trying to mimic, well, why is it so dope? Well, the timing of it is done differently than rap's ever been done. So it's refreshing to these kids, right? The younger generation. So any of the new states of where hip hop's in, it's cool through somebody else's lens.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is, like, I'll give a perfect example of where that happened with me, and I had to check myself on it. Was the first time I heard Travis Scott, like, I saw him open up for Kendrick, I'm like, this dude sucks. He's just using hella auto-tune. Like, why can't he just sing it right? And then I was like, oh, wait. He's using auto-tune as an instrument. And once I saw it as that, I was like, oh, shit, this dude's dope.
Yeah.
Because he's using auto-tune like it's a fucking, like, a flute or some shit. Like, and then the way he approaches how he, uses that auto-tune through his words and his tone and his pitch and his delivery completely changes how you look at it. And when you look at it through that lens, you're like, oh, this is art.
Exactly.
And once I saw that switch, I was the same thing. It was like, you can't look at it through the same lens. So, like, how do you, like, what would you say is your lens, if that makes sense? Like, what do you think someone looking at your art is, like, what lens do you think they're judging it through?
I don't care about what lens they're judging it to, because that's like that into the looking glass thing. Like, I don't act on how I think I am. I don't act on how you think I am, but I act based on how I think you think I am,
yeah.
you know? And it's like, if you always are doing that, how do you give your authentic expression? The fans love you because you give your authentic expression, and it's different, it's authentic, it's unique to you. Real recognize real. So when you're being real, people are like, wow, that guy's confident and comfortable in his own skin. I like that,
Yeah, but drawn to that energy.
Yeah, but then if you like stop doing that, if you're like,
what do they want?
I wonder what they want. Let me try to do what they want so that they'll give me that gratification. Well, then it stops becoming authentic, And
you can't. That's a battle you can't win, because people have different tastes.
Right.
Like, I launched this video and it got like a shit ton of views on it, right? half of them were people saying, "Oh my god, I love this. You're a fucking legend." The other half was like, "You're garbage. You need to quit rapping." And I'm like, I know that our brains are designed to see the threat so we could survive. Oh. So naturally, we're going to take those criticisms with more of our attention because that keeps us alive, right? But at the same time, it's like, I just reached this point where I had this epiphany. I'm like, why the fuck am I trying to impress other people?
Yeah.
Right? Because you can't win. One person is going to be hyped, and the exact reason why they love you is the same reason why someone else hates you. So when you focus on your authentic expression, then it's just a filtering mechanism. And you just have to focus on getting enough, momentum to create a living off of it. But at the end of the day, like if you're not giving your authentic expression, why the fuck are you doing this shit? Are you doing it for money? There's a lot easier ways to make money.
Yeah, but some people are doing it just for money, and I'm cool with that too. Because it's like, think about athletes. You're like, what do you love most about being an athlete? I love the checks that I get.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that answer. And other people are like, man, fuck the checks. I just love the game. Do you save any of your memorabilia? Oh, yeah, I let everyone know that I was MVP. What about you? Man, I get rid of that shit. I just keep the film so I can rewatch it. Some
it's that self-awareness.
It don't matter. But they both play for the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It doesn't. So to me, it doesn't matter if somebody is just doing rap for a check and they have like a creative strategy of how to troll the online people.
And it fucking works. Then good for them.
Then good for them. Get your money. I'm cool. I love seeing players get money.
Yeah.
So I'm cool with that. Like, if rapping is just that to you, a business to you, that's cool. For me, it's like my greatest. It is my hobby. It's my greatest hobby. People downplay that, like, oh, rapping's not a hobby, it's my job. Bro, I make money off of other things. I'm a glorified t-shirt salesman, merch salesman. I got merch products connected to my music that I make bread off of. A stream, download, people are paying me half a penny to stream it. You're paying me 99 cents to buy it. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? When a t-shirt costs $20,
Yeah.
It's just, so it's like, I'm not in, the music is not what is going to like pay. You're not like focusing on like a direct ROI from a verse. Like each verse equals X, this $1,000. And then, that means every word equals $20. So I better write these words, don't think of it like that. I'm not doing it like that. You know what I'm saying? It's like my hobby. If I get paid for this or not, I'm still going to sit in my bedroom or walk in circles in my room listening to beats. As long as producers keep sending me beats, I'm going to keep making songs,
Well, that's what's cool is like when you get to a certain point of momentum, you stop worrying about being at the destination and you just you're just focused on what's on your plate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm at this point where it's like, I'm not even, like, stressing about, like, I'm not where I want to be. Because it's like, I have 5 opportunities on my plate that I'm trying to balance right now. Let's just focus on that shit. And when you fall in love with that process, like, and you let go of the outcome, like, that's what gives you the ability to put in the consistency that will get you the results you're looking for.
Right.
And so I feel you on that, where it's like, if you can just focus on that process, like... But the reason you're able to do that is because you actually enjoy that process, right? Like, one of the biggest things that's allowed me to become a lot more happier is, I used to run my own business and I was making all this money, but I didn't enjoy it, right? So the process became very, like, soul-crushing because it's like, all right, cool, I have this money, but, like, it's not filling any void, right? So now I'm making a lot less money, but I'm actually playing a game I like, right? And the enjoyment and fulfillment and the ROI I get from that is so much higher, even though I'm not making as much money, at least right now, right? And, like, it was a huge shift for me because, like, I had zero balance. And now that I've been able to incorporate a little more balance, it's allowed me to bring this energy that is sustainable because I also enjoy what I'm doing all day, right? Now, to stem from there was something we were talking about off camera that, like, I'm fascinated by, and I want to hear you talk a little. You talk about, like, changing, like, your brain waves.
Yeah, that's something I've been really into, and it's like it's through rapping, athletics, yoga, smoking weed. It's through those activities, singing, meditation. It's through all that shit that I've learned this technique. It's all breath technique, and
And what are you trying to do?
well, I'm not really trying to do anything. I stumbled upon it um, while I was rapping a J. Cole song in
Yeah.
in a bedroom that I had turned into a garage when I was like 20 years old,
Yeah.
and still just trying to make something happen.
Yeah.
I was living in it was a big ass garage. I made it look hella cool, but I wasn't trying to accomplish anything. I was just
Yeah.
listening to this J. Cole song, rapping, smoking a bong, and all this like breath work that I was doing. Just like something happened, and then I ended up losing consciousness for like a few of J. Cole's bars. I was like rapping along to his song, and then it like came back on, and I had skipped a few bars, and I realized like I didn't say that line. I was like, oh, I didn't say that line. What happened? But I had like lost consciousness. And I noticed that something was up with it. And people, when I like talked to people about it, like it happened again, and I talked to people about it. They're like, oh, you're just hyperventilating. You're just making yourself like get close to passing out.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not convinced that that's what this is.
Yeah.
And now I know, if that's what you're doing it wrong. That's not the same breath. But it's called, one way to describe it is the Wim Hof breathing technique, where you breathe in for 7 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, and then breathe out for 8. And then you do it again. But think about like smoking weed. It's kind of this thing.
Yeah, hold it in.
Hey, you want to hit this shit out, look?
Yeah.
Yeah, this shit's pretty good. Right? And you're blowing it out. Yeah. It's that same breath, But there's a whole process of what happens with that channel of like where you're breathing from, especially when we're rapping and singing.
Yeah.
It's coming from your lower energy centers, which a lot of people refer to as the chakras, right? But scientifically, it's coming from your sacrum, which is at the bottom of your spine. So this whole the spine, your spinal fluid is made up of protons. It's made up of solution, right?
Yeah.
Protons, electrons, salts, and those are either positively or negatively charged. So when you inhale, your sacrum flexes back, and when you exhale, your sacrum flexes forward. And that, what happens is you start to propagate a wave, and it pushes your spinal fluid up. And when you push your spinal fluid all the way up to your pineal gland, your spinal fluid, because of what I just said it's made out of, when it hits your pineal gland and you hold your breath, it creates what's called intrathecal pressure on the pineal gland, and it stresses whatever's inside of your pineal gland.
And what is the pineal gland?
The pineal gland, I mean, I'm a neuroscience researcher. I'm a rapper / neuroscience researcher. But I'm not a neuroscientist. So I can't really, describe it more than based on what I know.
Like the first grade explanation.
Not first grade. I can describe it practicality.
Yeah.
I don't have a bunch of notes to show you, or a bunch of like fancy, this and the calculations of this, and did you know that? I don't know that shit.
Yeah.
I know it's practical.
Yeah.
I know the breathing stuff, and I understand it scientifically, spiritually, and physically. That's what I know. I don't know.
You don't know the details. Yeah.
But I can tell you the pineal gland is at the top of your spine. The top part, the bottom part is the base is your sacrum.
Yeah.
The top of this channel is your pineal gland, and it sits like basically directly on your head, and like on the back of your head. If you were to like go down and cross, it sits like right there.
Yeah.
So inside your pineal gland are two crystallized rhombohedrons, which is a geometric shape, and they're stacked on top of each other. So when the pineal gland is stressed, I know this sounds like a bunch of nerdy shit, but it's real, and it's relevant to rapping too, I swear. Pineal gland stressed, the crystals are, the intrathecal pressure creates stress on the crystals. When a crystal is stressed, it creates a signal. When all this happens, you know that the pineal gland produces melatonin and serotonin, right?
Yeah, they're like feel good chemicals, right?
They are, yes, melatonin is technically an antioxidant,
Okay.
but it is chemical, yeah.
Yeah.
So serotonin is light. You know,
Mhm.
when we see light, our pineal gland produces serotonin, which gives
Yeah.
us energy.
Mm.
When we're deprivated of light and we're in darkness, we get melatonin.
Mhm.
Melatonin
Helps you sleep.
helps you sleep, right?
Yep.
Calms you down. What do you
Yeah.
do when you're sleeping? You breathe real consistently
Yeah.
and really deep too,
Yeah.
right? So deep you snore sometimes,
Yeah.
right? What happens when you breathe really deep and you continue to do that? Your fifth stage of sleep is called REM, right?
Mhm.
Rapid eye movement.
Yeah.
You dream, you see pictures.
Yeah.
We're going to get to that in a second. Check this out. Melatonin is in the pineal gland. When you do this breathing technique, you hold it, you push it out. You do this a few times, you can tweak that chemical, melatonin. You can tweak it to vasopressin. From vasopressin, you tweak it again to the same chemical that's found in electric eels.
Interesting.
So now it's an electrical effect. And then somewhere in between these stages, you got like the most powerful antioxidant known to mankind. That's releasing.
And this is coming from what? Just breathing techniques?
Breathing. It's coming from melatonin and tweaking that chemical. But
And what are you tweaking just from your breath work? It's like changing the state of that chemical?
yes, exactly.
Okay.
Because of intrathecal pressure,
Yeah.
you're pressurizing these basically like
Yeah.
carbonate crystals.
And that's changing the state of it.
Well, what that's doing is it's releasing like a frequency,
Mhm.
like changing your brain waves from beta, real simple beta brain waves to gamma
Mhm.
brain waves,
Yeah.
high functioning brain waves. You know, that are you basically it's like radio.
And what's the side effects of that? Is that like just more energy, like better communication? Like what does that do?
all of the above really,
Yeah.
because the stages of it goes from, you know, melatonin, which is real simple chemical, to the most powerful antioxidant known to mankind, vasopressin, to benzodiazepine.
Based off of how much pressure there is?
Yeah, you basically are tweaking it. So like every
Yeah.
time, because if you just wake up
Yeah.
and you just start to like regularly passively breathe,
Mhm.
this effect will happen, but it takes about 12 hours
Yeah.
for that energy from down where your
Yeah.
sacrum is to start to move all the way up to your pineal gland,
Yeah.
and then it'll cycle back through. So you
Mhm.
get about 2 cycles throughout the day and you don't even really know it.
Yeah.
But if you do this intentionally, this is not a passive breath. This is a intentional breath. You know,
Like a directional breath.
yeah.
Yeah.
People say do it 3 times. I say do it 30 times. It's about as long as it should take you to meditate. You know, a short meditation.
And this is using the Wim Hof breathing
Wim
method?
Hof breathing technique. Do this 30 times. You'll be high as a kite.
Yeah.
Now, peep this. When this is going from, just by doing this, you're changing melatonin into vasopressin into a benzodiazepine. You've heard of people popping benzos. You know, all these rappers talk about this in their music, right?
You can do that naturally.
You can do that naturally. Your brain is like a stingy pharmacist. It's like, I got all the good shit, but I'm gonna make you have sex first or run a mile.
I'm gonna make you earn it.
You're gonna eat some chocolate before I release this chemical. You know,
Yeah.
it's like that, but it's up there. And so check this out. You're getting all these chemicals, and then you tweak it again, meaning do another breath and hold it, right? And you're holding in your abs, and you're moving that energy up to where your heart's at, and then you're feeling it move to your throat chakra, and it moves into there, and you hold it and you squeeze it, and then you breathe out with just all pure intention, and it tweaks again. It tweaks to that.
It was raising your vibration.
It's raising your vibration. It tweaks to the same chemical found in electric eels, which makes this now not a chemical thing. It's now an electrical thing. And you turn on an inductor field, where it's like, you know, like people see auras, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like it goes out to like so far. But that's why it's like you
Mm.
get around somebody and you feel their energy.
You
You're like,
feel their energy.
I don't know what it is about this, but I can just feel
I
like
don't know what it is about this guy, but like
Yeah.
he has this energy to him.
energy.
Yeah.
But then if you back away like 30 yards, you might not feel that energy.
Yeah.
But if you get close, it's because literally your body.
And even if you don't feel it, it's subconsciously influencing your actions without you even knowing it.
Yeah, and the most of the time.
Right? Think about it, like hot girls have this certain energy to them, and when you get around them, you change your demeanor whether you realize it or not. So I could see how just being around certain energies start to influence how you act and perceive reality.
Right, exactly.
That's crazy. So you can intentionally harness this energy and grow it through breath work.
Yeah.
And then that spills out into, people's perceptions of you, the way you carry yourself, the energy you have, and probably just makes, even if it just shifts your output by 1%, well, that's going to compound, right? I talk about that book, The Compound Effect, right? Mm-hmm. They talk about if you can push the ball 1% forward every day, well, that's 365% a year, right? So if I can, through specific techniques, like adding this to my morning routine when I'm meditating, having a specific breathing pattern that can change my wavelengths, then it's literally going to change my entire people's perception of me, the way I carry myself. That's fucking sick.
On top of that, bro, the fourth and final stage after it becomes like an electric situation in your body, it actually changes it to dimethyltryptamine.
Oh yeah,
DMT.
Nice. Yeah.
And this makes sense because think about when you dream, you go on a vision, right?
Mm-hmm.
So basically you're doing the same breath that you're doing while you're sleeping, but you're awake.
Yeah.
You're doing all this subconsciously while you're sleeping, and you're getting an inner vision.
Mm-hmm.
When you do this consciously, you're the same way we transmute signal with radio.
Yeah.
You're transmuting the signal, right?
Yeah.
Well, then you transduce the signal, which is like how TV is.
Yeah.
You're turning signal into picture.
Yeah.
So you're literally doing this. So you're having an inner vision. So within the breath technique, your body produces DMT, and you're picking up signal that's quicker than the speed of light, because it's no longer transmuting it; it's transducing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, just like what I was telling you earlier, like in a lot of movies, a woman will walk in and be like frantic, and the husband's like, "Babe, just breathe, tell me what happened," and she's like, "Okay, there's a man with a gun, and he was coming in." It's like all of a sudden she breathes, and she can get the signal across clearer.
Mm-hmm.
What if we amplify that a little bit more with our breathing? What's that signal look like then? Well, now it's no longer audio. It's no longer a message. It's now a vision. It's picture.
How?
Do you see what I'm saying? Through DMT being released in your brain through breath.
And so you're saying you're just seeing a truer form of yourself being reflected? What do you mean by how does that translate? All right, cool, you reach this high level, you say you're now seeing a picture. Does that mean you're just seeing your thoughts more clearly?
Have you ever meditated and started daydreaming?
Probably.
You ever seen I've had daydreams where I'm gripping a microphone, I'm reaching down, I'm slapping hands with somebody, and I'm wearing a white t-shirt.
Yeah.
And I kept having that daydream in my meditations in my early 20s.
Yeah. Next
thing you know, there's a picture of me in a magazine, reaching down, going like this, and I get hit up by an A&R from a label that I worked with back in the day, and he reached out to me because he saw this picture, and my vein was popping out of my neck, and I was really looking at the crowd yeah. And he was like, "Yo, I know that you mean what you say, because he's like, I could see the way that you hold yourself."
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, based off of this picture, I leveled up. And that situation really leveled me up. So I had that vision though. Where did that vision come from? It was like a download during because you're tapping into a universal field when you're doing this, right?
Infinite intelligence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
collective consciousness. You know, you're tapping into the frequency of love, right? You're tapping into the frequency of, I showed you the chart, right? Planet Earth resonates at 432, which is interesting. An A note is at 440, so we tune a lot to 440, you know?
And when you say that, so the energy, or you said the Earth's energy field is at, what? You said how much?
432.
So what does that mean? Does that mean just the, like, vibration of all the molecules? Like, what does that mean?
Yeah, the vibration.
Because I could see how someone that isn't educated in this field is like, what the fuck are these guys talking about? But I know there's something here.
Right.
And it's trying to get it across in a way that's, you know, consumable.
Yeah.
And applicable, right? So the way that I see this really applicable, you know, obviously you have to do more research. And I talked about this on an episode a couple times ago where, you know, I started meditating and I've heard people talk about chakras and I've heard them talk about all this shit. And if the person can't communicate it properly, it sounds ridiculous. Right? And what actually got me to understand chakras was an episode of Avatar, where they have like the rivers or whatever.
That's the best. That's exactly
right. And that like unlocked it for me to make me understand it. And then through my meditation practices, I was able to experience my heart chakra like opening. Which, if you heard me saying these words a year ago, I'd be like, "What the fuck am I talking about?"
Like some hippy dippy shit. Get it out of here.
But like, the only way to describe the experience was it was like it was like seeing a color you've never seen again, or like learning to smell for the first time. Like, it felt like its own sense that I had just unlocked. And it's opened up my world to, you know, a big reason why I'm doing this podcast, right? It's to dive into this shit that I don't know anything about and learning from people that have applied it to bend reality towards their will. Right? When you're doing these breathing techniques in the morning and you're altering the state of your consciousness, it's putting you in a state where you're better able to bend reality towards your will. Whatever that is. For you, that's rap. For someone else, that might be being a good mom. For someone, it might be being a teacher. Whatever you're doing, being in that higher state of consciousness will allow you to get what you want better. And what's crazy about what you're saying with that, like, you know, getting to the, you know, level of DMT or whatever where you can like see the pictures, like, you know, people talk about manifestation, right? People talk about things like vision boards or affirmations where you're literally programming, like, you view your brain like a computer, right? Like, you're programming shit in there and then your computer solves that problem. So if you're telling yourself every day, I'm fucking rich, I have a lot of money comes to me easily. Well, what your brain's doing is it's taking that information and on a subconscious level, it starts solving that problem. It goes, you know, how is me getting money easy? Like, how is this real? And when you repeat that image and it is just so clear in your mind that you can't unsee it, you literally, like, have no choice but to then go manifest it. So for you saw that vision of you doing the hand, and that vision was so clear to you that you knew that you would never be okay with yourself unless you saw it in real life. Would you say that's accurate?
I think if that's the way one decides to describe that, then it is accurate. Yeah.
And obviously there's your own perspective of that, and that's me just guessing, but the bigger picture I'm getting at is, like, when you understand the mechanisms of how our bodies work and how our brains work, like, you can literally leverage that biology to get what you want.
Exactly. So the way I describe it is this, through neuroplasticity. Like I said, I'm not a neuroscientist, but I'm a rapper / neuroscience researcher. So
Myelination?
What's that?
Myelination?
What's that?
Okay, bro. All right. If we're on this shit, I'm just going to get into it. So let's say you high five me, right? Like, we high five right there. So your brain just fired a certain set of, and this is very bro science, but this is like essentially the science behind it. You can read a book called The Talent Code that explains all this shit a lot better than I can. But what they talk about is when you do a certain action, your brain's firing a certain set of neurons that are telling you to do that action, right? When those neurons fire, there's this fatty tissue called myelin that wraps around those connections like insulating a wire. Yeah. So the more you repeat that specific neural connection, the thicker that wire gets. Exactly. And your brain wants to take the path of least resistance. So it's going to take the most insulated path. Exactly. Just like if you're walking through a tall field of grass, if you keep taking the same path and pushing down the grass, that's going to be the easiest route. Right. right? So
Yeah.
you can leverage that.
Exactly.
And this is why it's so stupid when people hate on people. Because what they're really saying is not that you suck, it's that you're early on in the process, right? Because if you understand the mechanisms of how our actual biology works, anyone can develop any trait they want.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of application.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like when you realize that, like this whole world opens up to you because it's in whatever fucking thing you want in your life. If you identify that, you have the ability through how our brains are wired and how our brains function to acquire the skill sets that will allow you to create that reality.
Yeah, that's true, man.
And that's in dating, that's in health, that's in spirituality, that's in finances, that's in marketing, that's in music, that's in what fucking ever.
That's all true. Yeah.
So all you got to do is figure out like what the fuck do I actually want and what are the skill sets that will get me there and then what are the habits that will give me those skill sets.
Yeah, that's all true, and that's all what I've done. Yeah. Exactly.
So let me ask you this. Where do you want to take shit? Like what's the goal of brenboy? Like, if you could retire and say, I did what I wanted to accomplish here, what does that look like?
It's so crazy, man. Like, every interview I do, people ask me the same question, and it's like weird because we talk about frequency. I come from a small town that there's no rapper from Grants Pass, Oregon. You know, there's no radio DJ from Grants Pass. There's nobody that's low-key popping, like, you know, moving like that. You know, there's like a couple people that have done some cool, like, no, there's a handful of people. I'm not gonna lie, there are a handful of people that have done some cool shit, but
they haven't made it.
But not like not like what I'm doing, you know. And so, just for my hometown, coming from where I come from and the situation I come from, it's like in my head, I don't wake up thinking, oh, I have to chase a goal. There's a goal at brenboy I have to chase. After I started becoming a professional where I don't have, you know, I make money off of entertainment, you know, and being my own person. When I stopped working an hourly wage job, when I stopped getting paid just for like showing up and being there, now I only get paid for making things happen, producing results. When that happened, that's when I felt like I made it. That's when my goals stopped. That's when my energy is no longer like, man, I just
survival mode.
Yeah, I'm not in survival mode. That's all the lower energies. That's all the chakras. Yeah. That's all the lower energies. That's survival, reproduction, digestion. That's all survival. That's the lower energy centers. Yeah. And you bring that up, just like I'm talking about. Yeah. But when you're living up here, when you're living in the heart and in the mind, you know what I'm saying? Your home is in your head type of shit. And it's not, you're not producing a bunch of cortisol in your body, which is the stress hormone, fight or flight, survival. When you're producing a bunch of cortisol, you're always like worried something's going to happen. But when you know, I'm very comfortable in my skin. I live a cool ass life. I'm a pro rapper.
You did it.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean like I'm cool with kicking back. You know, I still have hella goals that I'm like always doing. So, but that's the thing is like, there's no goal with brenboy. It's not like
you're not worried about your legacy. You're enjoying the present, essentially.
I am definitely I'm definitely not worried about my legacy, but I'm focused on legacy for sure. But I already know that like it's in the cards for me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. If there was something like playing for the Oakland Raiders, I would be worried because like, oh, there's so many things that like what if this happens? What if that? Maybe I'm not this. But when you just know like this is what you're supposed to be doing,
there's a peace that comes with that.
It's very peaceful. Yeah. You know, and like I said, everything once I started becoming a pro rapper, I had this like, okay, this is what I do. I'm a pro rapper, and just like you said, you know, I didn't know it was called, what was it, myelination, but the same way you describe it is very similar to the way I describe it. You know, and it's with neuroplasticity. You know, the same way that's the...
You know you're going to figure it out.
Yeah, I know I'm going to figure it out, but I know, like I said, you wake up every day just knowing that I'm a pro rapper and I'm winning. What do you think the next frame of reference is going to be? What do you think tomorrow is going to look like? What do you think the next thing that's going to happen? You know, I'm always used to doing this, so... Yeah. You know, if I'm
you're not worried about being on level 50 because you're focusing on climbing up level 22 or whatever, and you're just like, this is the next step, just keep it going.
Yeah, I'm just like when you like you said, You wrap that around your neuroreceptor.
Yeah.
When you wake up and you're like, I'm a pro rapper, I'm winning, life is good.
Yeah.
What do you?
Well, success is like it's really not about accomplishing a certain goal. It's really about just enjoying the process, because the moment you get the goal, you just set a new horizon line. You set a new goal.
Always, yeah.
And so
exactly.
if you're relying on that goal to fill the void, the problem is every day you wake up and you just see the gap.
Exactly.
And you're like, I'll be happy once I get there. I'll be happy once I get there. I'll be happy when I play a show. I played a show in front of 6,000 people. That was like the goal, bro. That is the fucking goal. And I did it, and it's great, and it's a memory I will love forever and cherish forever. But it didn't, like, fill any void.
Yeah.
So it becomes like, well, if I'm just stressed about not being happy until I get this, and then I get this, and that moment is so fleeting, like, I need to change how I approach this.
For real.
And what I did is, it's funny, I realized, like, what is my goal with rap? It's to make $2,000 a month from music, because I know with my exact budget and my investment strategies, I can pay my bills and retire comfortably. And so I look at that and I go, if I get to that point, I've won. Anything past that is playing with house money, right? And so it's cool to hear someone else that's, you know, on that path, like, expressing a similar, you know, viewpoint. But essentially why I asked that question is context for what I want to get into it next, is looking at where you're trying to go and what do you think is the biggest thing holding you back right now from getting there?
Okay, so where I'm trying to go is I want to be an actor eventually, because like
Yeah.
I said, I'm really into writing. So I've always known that what's going to happen with me, I'm going to be a skateboarder, check. I'm going to be a ninja, check. You know, I did martial arts, got my black belt, all that cool shit. I'm going to be an athlete, check.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be a poet, check.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, proof is in the pudding, right?
Yeah.
Then I said I'm going to be a pro rapper, check. You know, the next thing that I said I'm going to do is I'm going to write a screenplay, or write scripts for a sitcom or something. Find a way to get into one of those back tables where I'm writing lines, you know, because it's like I'm nice with it when it comes to hip hop. I'm a writer.
Yeah.
I'm a writer. I'm writing hip hop right now, you know.
Yeah.
But eventually I want to write scripts.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there I want to wiggle my way in to be an actor and be like, yeah, I understand the script writing, I understand the production very well, and I understand what it takes to be the front person. And rappers, the camera loves rappers. You know, there's something just the camera does real good with rappers.
Also, when you have that built-in audience, you can leverage that.
Exactly.
And just from a business standpoint, it makes sense to put you in something if they know it's gonna make them money.
Exactly.
Right.
So the thing holding me back is I want to do that, but there's because of the COVID and everything. Yeah. There's not a lot of opportunities for film right now.
Yeah.
So I'd say as far as like where I want to go, that's where it is, and that's what's holding me back, is just not having the opportunities really, or like.
And so the reason I ask all that shit is to figure out, someone with your certain mindset, how do you overcome that?
Well, I just shift perspective and focus on other things, because I have so many other things going on right now that is like taking my attention in the now.
Yeah.
And if you truly believe that it's gonna happen, like I said, I already wrote it in my charts.
Yeah.
I said I'm going to be a poet first. I'm gonna be a pro rapper next. Then I'm gonna be, you know. So I say I already make my charts of what I'm about to do, right?
Yeah.
There's a certain ending point where it's like I don't know. Now I gotta freestyle it. But I kind of know what I'm about to do.
You know the general direction you're headed.
I know where it's heading. So when I say that's what I'm going to do,
it's already done. It's already decided.
It's already done. I just, it's just time.
You're just waiting for time to catch up.
Yeah. So like for me, what do I do to make sure that happens? Nothing. I enjoy the present moment as a rapper, because that's what I'm doing now. That shit's going to come. What do I do to combat COVID from not giving me opportunities to try my hand at acting? I don't do nothing. I just enjoy rapping right now. That time will come when it comes. I'm confident in it. I'm not starving. It's not like, oh, if I don't become an actor tomorrow, I'm not gonna eat. Yeah. A tiger is not chasing me. No one's got a gun on me. Why freak out and try to make something happen? Let the universe do its thing, and enjoy what you got right here, which is rapping, podcasting, talking
Enjoy
high level
life.
shit. Yeah, I'm cool with
So, how many artists do you think you've worked with in Portland?
that. I don't know. I can't
Like
calculate.
200?
I've put over 250 people on stage, and I've put over 300 artists on the radio.
Now, what would you say are the common denominators between the people that impress you among that sample size and the ones that don't? And how can someone make the distinction and then make that pivot to the part they need to be at?
Okay, so for me, earlier we were talking
Yeah.
about lenses, right?
Yeah.
Someone's lens. This is my lens. My preference, right? 5 categories. Vocal tone, rhyme scheme.
Mm-hmm.
Is it hat, and then bat, and then cat, and
Yeah.
fat?
Yeah.
Is that how it is, or is it something
Yeah.
or is it
Triple entendres.
You know what I'm saying?
Bending words like we're talking.
You feel
Door
me?
hinge,
Yeah.
bitch.
Right. So for me, it's vocal tone. It's rhyme scheme.
Mm-hmm.
It's originality. Are you saying words that no one's ever said, or are you saying the same thing?
I got hoes.
I got money in the club. Look at all my jewels.
Diamond on my wrist.
Hey, I talk about all that shit in my music because that's really what's popping with me, right? So I really talk about that shit. But
There's nothing worse than talking about shit you're not doing, especially if you're not popping.
Right.
It's one thing if you've made it and you use that as a marketing tool, which is another conversation. But when you're literally just getting started and you think the best bet is to just imitate people that have what you want,
Just be capping on it, yeah.
everyone sees right through that.
Yeah. But then on the other hand, there is a lot of people that have manifested things by doing that. Think about how many broke people from a grimy environment, and they just start rapping and I got all the money in the world. And then it's like, yo, they really came up. They believed it, and it's like,
There's
yeah,
a difference between doing it in a way where you're manifesting it and doing it in a way where you're trying to impress people and sell a facade. That's two different things, in my
Right.
opinion.
But like I said in the beginning of this podcast,
It's a blur. It's a gray line.
like I said in the beginning, I don't care what it is.
Yeah.
Whether your intention is this or that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't hate the player,
Yeah.
It's like, if your intention is just I don't care. Yeah, there's a difference between loving it for the money and loving it for the art. I don't care if you love it just for one. I'm not,
Yeah.
who am I to say? I know what my thing is. My thing is this. Rhyme scheme, vocal tone, originality, overall presence, and timing.
Yeah.
When I hear, hip hop is all about timing.
It being in the pocket.
That's the tennis net.
There's nothing fucking worse than being out of pocket, in my opinion. Because I grew up doing percussion shit. I was a drummer.
Oh, so you
right?
know more than
So
anyone.
I grew up doing percussion competitions and shit, playing vibraphone with an ensemble where we literally is sitting there for 3 hours with a metronome and doing the same fucking 8 bars 100 times because we can't get it all in line with each other. So when I hear these rappers and they're out of pocket, it literally just it doesn't matter what you're doing, I can't enjoy it.
For a drummer, it must be miserable to hear some of that shit.
There's nothing worse because I'm like, do you not hear it?
Word.
You know what I mean?
I can only imagine for a percussionist, it must be painful, bro.
Because that's driven into my subconscious.
Right.
I hear a metronome when I rap.
Word.
But there's no metronome. I have an internal metronome that's going beep boop 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 when I'm rapping my shit because that just I grew up being taught how to approach music that way.
Word.
And so it's at least for me, I agree on that pocket one. For sure, if you're on in pocket, I can't listen to it.
And now, when I for me, when I think pocket, I think totally on the beat, and it's it's cool. People do offbeat or they do syncopation, where they're doing just the fills and then the beat hits, and then they're doing the fills and then the beat hits. I'm cool with that, but there's still timing. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not talking about being in a rhythmic pattern. I'm talking about timing.
Yes,
timing. I'm talking about being out of time with the beat.
Yeah.
You are trying to be in time with it, but you are off by half a bar. And
right. No,
it's watching a TV where it's blurry.
Yeah, for sure.
It's I can't watch this shit.
For sure.
Fix the fucking rabbit ears and make that shit stop being staticky. Yeah. How the fuck do you not hear it, right? But even with that, it's I listened to my old shit. And I remember when I made it, I thought it was the best thing in the world. And I was in Pocket, but like I had no delivery.
Yeah, I feel that.
Right? And I'm like, what? How the fuck did I think this was so good? Because it was literally just because my lyrics were good and I was in Pocket. So that's great that Pocket is a piece of the puzzle. But like you said, there's a bunch of aspects to this.
Yeah.
Now, what is would you say has probably been so you I haven't mentioned this. You have your own radio show.
Yeah. Radio show, Rip City Basement. It's on 90.7 FM, K-Boo. Due to the COVID and stuff, we're doing a lot of the filming in the studio here.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it's basically bridging the gap between hip hop fanatics demand to hear traditional technique and Portland's electronic obsession. Because I fuck with both. I went to school for music production. I have a background in sonic arts. I have a love for equipment. But I'm a traditional rapper. Like I'm trying to rap. I'm trying to really rap.
You're trying to hit him with these bars.
Yeah,
son.
I'm trying to hit him with these bars. It's in my name, Brendan Anthony Reyes. Bar.
Oh
it's
shit.
in my name to spit
Bro,
bars.
it's destiny.
That's what I'm saying. It's in my charts, so I don't have to worry about that. I know it's in my charts. If I was trying to be a football player, like I said, I'd be like, ooh, I'm worried because it's not quite in my charts, but I really want it. This is in my charts. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. So, that's what it is.
Hell yeah. Well, I think that's a great place to wrap it up. Anything you want to plug? Let the people know what you're up to.
Yeah, check me out on online. Follow me on Tinder. I will definitely follow you back.
You got that gold swipe?
I don't have the gold swipe. No, I'm really fucking with it like that. But no, I got a new song with Mozzie called Couple Bands, and I'm pretty excited about it. I linked up with DJ VIP, which is Nipsey Hussle's official DJ, and he's helping me get it into those the radio pools and kind of get it into that next level. So this is my second song to actually like break into radio,
Hell yeah.
So I'm really excited about it, and that's what I wanted to plug. My new song, Couple Bands, is everywhere like air. Go check it out, featuring Mozzie. Yeah.
Hell yeah. brenboy in the building. We out. Sick, bro. We killed that shit.
Good job.